If you can score 10 or higher on this English vocabulary test, your English is fluent. This test is challenging and will advance from beginner to super advanced. Are you ready? Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. Level beginner. Your task is to choose the correct meaning. Question 1. My heart sank when I heard the news. A. I felt relieved. B. I felt disappointed. C. I felt excited. The correct answer is B. I felt disappointed.
I just know my heart sank when I read it.
My heart sank. So this is when you go from happy to sad. So you can think of it in a sense of disappointment. My heart sank when I only got 2 questions right. Maybe that's what you think by the end of this lesson. But then you change that and say, that means I learned 14 new phrases today, and that's great. So make sure you have that positive attitude no matter what your score is, and put that's right, put that's right in the comments. And don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Question 2, the deal fell through. This means A, it was delayed, B, it was successful, C, it failed at the last moment. The correct answer is C. It failed at the last moment.
The deal fell through.
For example, the client was supposed to sign the contract today. Why did it fall through? Because you would use this in the context of the last moment. Or, we were going to travel across the country this summer, but our plans fell through. So you can absolutely use this in your daily routine to talk about plans and arrangements. Question 3. I went to the movies solo. This means A, I went with friends. B, I went alone. C, I went late. The correct answer is B, I went alone. So I might ask you, have you ever traveled solo? In this sentence structure, it's an adverb. I could also ask you, have you ever gone on a solo trip? Now it comes before a noun, so grammatically you know in this sentence it's an adjective.
A 27-day solo trip down the Zambezi River.
Question 4, he's a busybody. This means A, he interferes in others' business. B, he's very productive at work. C, he has a lot of activities and hobbies. The correct answer is A. He interferes in others' business.
He's a busybody, and he goes on and on and on.
Now, this is used in a negative way. It's a criticism. So generally, we use this as advice and say, don't be such a busybody. Don't interfere in others' business. Or maybe, you can't trust Jeff. He's a busybody. Share your score for level beginner and let's move on to level intermediate. Your task is to choose the correct word to complete the phrase. Question 5, before the holidays, make sure you tie up loose A, knots, B, ends, C, strings, D, pieces. The correct answer is B, ends.
It told me to tie up loose ends.
The expression is to tie up loose ends, and it's always plural, ends. And this means to finish small remaining tasks. So usually administrative tasks or small items on your to-do list. For example, I need to tie up a few loose ends before the trip. So you can use a few to make it sound like a small number of. Or you could say, before we wrap up the project, we need to tie up some loose ends. So you can also use some. Question 6, that comment really my interest. A, piqued. B, peaked. C, peaked, D, picked. The correct answer and the correct spelling is C, peaked.
Well, this really piqued my interest.
To pique one's interest. So pique, the spelling and pronunciation don't match. Pique is the verb that you conjugate. And this means to make you curious or interested. So maybe I say to a client, my idea will save us $1 million over 3 years. And the client replies back, you've piqued my interest. Now I'm curious. Now I'm interested. Go on. Or I could say to you, if learning natural expressions piques your interest, subscribe for more lessons and make sure you do. Question 7, she always in during meetings. A, chimes. B, rides. C, speaks. D, adds. The correct answer is A, chimes.
I know you'll be tempted to chime in, but remember that you're in an emotionally vulnerable state.
This is a phrasal verb, to chime in. This means to join a conversation or add information, and is often suddenly. So I might say to anyone in a meeting, feel free to chime in if you have ideas. So I'm inviting them to share their ideas as they happen. They don't have to wait until the end of my presentation. They can share them whenever they have them. It's very common to start a presentation or a meeting with that if you do want people to chime in, and you can say everyone's welcome to chime in. Question 8, can you for me while I'm gone? Can you A, stand, B, support, C, handle, D, cover? The correct answer is D, cover.
Can you cover for me, please?
And notice that preposition, because you cover for someone. And that means you do someone's job in their absence. So I might say, I'm running late, cover for me. And I just give it as an instruction, cover for me. So my absence is, I'm not at the office because I'm stuck in traffic. Or you might complain and say, I'm sick of covering for Jane. She takes 20 breaks per shift, because it's very common to cover for someone when they're on a break. So share your score in the comments for level intermediate, and let's move on to level advanced. Now your task is to complete the phrase without options, and this is what makes it more advanced. Question 9. I'm also going to Portugal on vacation this summer. Great minds think. Great minds think alike. Alike, is that what you said? And did you spell it correctly as one word?
Great minds think alike, huh?
So great minds think alike. This is an expression used when people have the same idea. So if you're in a restaurant, you could say to the person beside you, I ordered the pasta too. And the person could reply back with this expression and say, great minds think alike. Or you can say, I'll have the pasta. And then the person beside you or somewhere else at the table can reply back and say, great minds think alike. So that's their way of letting you know that they ordered the pasta, even if you didn't hear the order. Question 10, I couldn't read the sign. I only saw it out of my eye. Out of the corner of my eye.
And then I saw a suitcase out of the corner of my eye in the hallway.
So to see something out of the corner of one's eye, my eye, his eye, for example. This is a phrase that's used when you see something partially or indirectly. This happened to me just the other day. I was watching a movie when I saw a bug out of the corner of my eye. And this was a big bug. But I didn't see it directly, I just saw it out of the corner of my eye. I'm not sure what type of bug it was. I only saw it out of the corner of my eye. That's a very common phrase. Question 11, I don't know why he's so rude to the teachers. He just has a chip on his... Do you know this one? A chip on his shoulder.
You let him come in here with a chip on his shoulder.
The expression is to have a chip on one's shoulder. So my shoulder, his shoulder, Mark's shoulder. And this means to be easily offended or angry. So for example, I have two teenagers at home and they both have a chip on their shoulder, which means they get offended easily, they get angry easily, they're teenagers. If you're a parent, you can probably relate to that. Or we've been so accommodating, yet she still has a chip on her shoulder. She still gets really angry or upset. Question 12, I don't want to get bogged in the details. Did you say bogged down in the details?
I just don't want to get bogged down.
The expression is to get bogged down. Get in the sense of to become bogged down. And notice that pronunciation, bogged, bogged down. Because when you say the D from down, you won't hear it so much on the past simple of the verb bog, bogged down. And this means to become stuck in details or progress slowly because you're stuck in the details. So I might say, don't get bogged down in all the charts. The charts represent details or information. Focus on the main point. Or you can talk about a project or assignment and say the project got bogged down halfway through. So here, get is your verb that you conjugate. Share your score for level advanced, and now let's move on to level super advanced. This is super advanced because your task is to complete the full phrase based on the reference word. Now, you may need to complete the phrase with 1 word, 2 words, 3 words, so that's why this is super advanced. Question 13, when I asked her where her husband was, I had no idea they just got divorced. I can't believe I put my in my again. I can't believe I put my foot in my mouth again. Is that what you said?
At least I wouldn't have put my foot in my mouth.
The idiom is to put one's foot, my, his, her, foot, singular, foot, in one's, my, his, her, mouth, and singular mouth, which makes sense because we only have one mouth, but we have 2 feet, but the idiom uses just one's foot. So this is to say something embarrassing or inappropriate. So, I really put my foot in my mouth when I asked your father about his wig. I didn't know it was a secret. So a wig is fake hair. So maybe the father didn't share that he wears a wig, and I just blurted it out at dinner. Now, you could also remark, that was so funny when your brother realized he put his foot in his mouth, because that person will probably have a very upset look on their face when they realize what happened. Question 14, last week I needed your help, but you said you were busy. And now you want me to help you? Oh, how the have turned. Oh, how the tables have turned. Is that what you said? And did you have plural tables?
How the tables have turned.
The expression is the tables have turned. And this means this situation has reversed. For example, maybe I call my mom and say, Mom, I need advice. Shelly won't listen to anything I say, and she has a huge chip on her shoulder. And let's say Shelly is my teenage daughter. Now, my mom says to me, "Oh, how the tables have turned." So this implies that when I was a teenager, I didn't listen to my mom. I had a chip on my shoulder, and now the situation is reversed and it's my daughter doing the exact same to me. This is a very common situation in family dynamics and in friend dynamics or work dynamics. Or you could say, it's funny how the tables have turned. Question 15. Honestly, I didn't give it a lot of thought. I saw a last minute deal and I booked the vacation on a whim.
But I won't do it on a whim.
So to do something on a whim, this means you do it without planning. So you do it suddenly. So you might say, we decided to enroll in a salsa class on a whim. It's not something we researched fully. We haven't been discussing it for a long time. We just saw it and signed up. Now you can start with this expression to add some interest and say, on a whim, I quit my job. So people know you did it rather impulsively. It's not something that you prepared for or thought carefully about. So it can be a positive or negative depending on the situation. Question 16, I forgot my USB with my presentation at my desk. So the presentation was definitely rocky start. The presentation was definitely off to a rocky start. Ooh, did you get that one?
I know we've gotten off to a rocky start, but I want to smooth things over.
The phrase is to be off to a, and then adjective, in this case, rocky is the adjective, start. And this is very commonly used. It simply means to start and then whatever that adjective is. So to start the presentation in a rocky way. So for example, you can use this in a positive and say the meeting was off to a great start. So to be, conjugated in the past, off to a great start. Or maybe you use a negative and say the interview was off to a terrible start because I really put my foot in my mouth. Share your score for level super advanced and also share your score for the full quiz. How many did you get right out of 16? And remember, even if the answer is Jennifer, I only got 2 right. That's okay. I designed this quiz to be very difficult and think of everything you learned. So use the free lesson PDF also to make sure you review these phrases, practice them so you feel confident using them. And do you want me to keep quizzing you? If you do, put yes, 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 put yes, yes, yes in the comments. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here's another lesson I know you'll love. Watch it now.